everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to talk about all the things that I read last week. So last week was a very productive week. There's a lot to talk about, so let's just get into it. As always, I'm going to start with the middle grade that I read, and then we'll move on to the adult. So I read books 1 and 2, Zara's Rules for Record-Breaking Fun and Zara's Rules for Finding Hidden Treasure, and these are by Hina Khan, and the glare is getting us, but these books are okay. This is the first one, and it is about this girl named Zara, as you might guess. She is like the queen of the neighborhood. There's all the neighborhood kids, and she's like the queen of the neighborhood. Well, then new kids move in, and so she's feeling a little threatened, despite the fact that they aren't like challenging her at all or whatever. So she decides that she wants to break a Guinness World Book record, and so she like sets out to do that. And I thought this was okay. Like content wise, it's okay. There's some body talk that I don't really like, but overall it was okay. And this was like a good tester, so that's why I read the second, because I think, so then I read the second and I don't like it nearly as much. And in this one, her bike goes missing and her parents are like, what? You lost your bike? Well, we're not buying you another one. Like, you got to figure out how to earn some money. And so she goes through their basement, and like her grandparents live with her. They are Muslim, I believe. And so her grandparents live with her. That doesn't have anything to do with it, but her grandparents live with her. And so they go through the basement and she takes a bunch of stuff that's not hers and goes and makes like basically a mobile garage sale and starts selling stuff from the basement that's her parents and her grandparents and all that kind of stuff. Well, obviously that doesn't work out. And I think the problem is I just don't like Zara. Because like here, I really wish we would have had a conversation around like, you don't have to prove your worth. Like even there's no reason to be like this hierarchy in the neighborhood. And instead it was like the moral of the story was kind of like, we can all be friends, which is true, but also like, why she's so insecure. I wish we would have had some sort of conversation around that. And then in this one, I mean, she just feels kind of entitled, kind of, I don't even know if entitled is the right word, but just kind of, I just don't think I like her. And so there's way more body talk in this. Really, it's commentary on her brother's body and how skinny it is and all that kind of stuff. And I just don't like it. I don't like it. And so I'm not going to pass this on to my kids. It's perfectly wholesome in the fact that the kids are nice enough to each other and stuff. I just don't like Zara, and I don't like the body talk. And so I think I'm going to let this series go. There's a lot of better ones for my daughter to read, so we're going to not do this. Then as a family, or as me and my kids, we read Summer According to Humphrey. So this is number 5 in the series, maybe 6. I don't know the number. The spine has worn off on our book. But this one, they all go to summer camp. And so Humphrey was stressed out about the end of the school year. Now they're at summer camp. Other hijinks ensue. He meets a girl mouse. And yeah, it was fun. Goldenrod is what my daughter says the name was. But anyway, this was fun. Then we read Nate the Great Talks Turkey, because as soon as Halloween was over, we started reading Thanksgiving books. And so Nate the Greats, they are really like easy books to read, and they're all fine. This is way far in the series, and it doesn't matter, but this was just fine. Then my daughter, so I talked about reading the Disney Princess Beginnings of Belle's story, and so we read Moana's Big Leap. We have them all from the library, and she really wants to buddy read them. And Belle is the only one that I could get electronically, because that's how we read it. I read it electronically, she read it in the book. And so this one we just took turns. It took each of us an evening to read, half an hour maybe, and we talked about our favorite parts. And so we have never seen Moana. I'm not a Moana gal. So I don't know a whole lot about this, except that she is preparing for a festival, and one part of the festival is to be a cliff diver, and she finds out her mom was a cliff diver, and so her mom really teaches her. Like, that was the part that was most impactful to me, which, not surprisingly, her and her friend are also trying to find this flower, and I won't tell you if they do or don't, but that experience was my daughter's favorite part, so again, it makes sense. But yeah, this was good. So those are the middle grade. And what?
And I like the cliff diving.
And she likes the cliff diving with her mom, right? Yeah, that's what she was just saying.
Like to swim and dive.
She likes to swim and dive. She is, side story, but she is like a savant diver. I have never taught her to dive. She's never taken swimming lessons or anything. And we teach her the basics, but this summer she was diving off the diving board and like doing very good diving for a 7-year-old. But anyway, Okay, so now let's talk about the adult books I read. So I read Love Mom by Nicole Saphier, maybe? I don't know. I did not know. So I got this from the publisher a year or two ago, probably. And this is Inspiring Stories Celebrating Motherhood. And I did not know she is, I should have known because it says Fox News right here. She is the medical contributor for Fox News. I'm not a Fox News watcher. I don't know anybody on Fox News. And this is definitely like an amalgamation, of Fox News contributors. And so it's not just people you see on the TV, but it's other people. But I loved, like, I really liked it. Kind of in spite of that fact. And so I enjoyed this. This is all just different people and their story of becoming a mom or motherhood. There was one that I skipped because she does a little introduction of like, here's so-and-so and her story of, becoming a mother through health issues or becoming a mother, whatever. And so she kind of gives you a little preview, which I really appreciated because one of them was about a woman who lost her child, and I just skipped that one. I am not in a good headspace to read that. And I will say this is a little bit heavy on people parenting through health issues. And so if that's a huge trigger for you, it definitely is for me. And I didn't feel overly triggered by this, but there were definitely a couple where, young people get, young mothers get things that are, cancer, that kind of stuff. And so there's definitely some hard ones, but I would say I was okay. And that is health is a big trigger of mine. So, I liked this, gave it 4 stars, and that's that. And then, I was talking about this last week, Sacred Parenting by Gary Thomas. It's really hard to summarize this book because there's a lot packed in. It's a small book with a lot of punch, but it's about how parenting changes us, not necessarily our influence on our kids, but our kids' influence on us, and how just the process of being broken and shaped and all the things by parenting, how that changes us, and how we have so many opportunities to grow closer to Christ and to become more Christ-like through our parenting, or we don't, or we have options to do other things. And so I really liked this, and the message of how, parenting is just one outlet that really sanctifies us and helps us to refine ourselves, because it will definitely tear you down and build you back up all in one moment. So there's that. And then I also this one I actually read last week and I forgot to talk about it, but because I DNF'd it. And that book is No Bad Parts, Healing Trauma and Restoring Wholeness with the Internal Family Systems Model by Richard C. Swartz. So I'm really interested in the internal family systems. Is that what it is? Internal family systems model of therapy, which basically is, from my understanding, it is recognizing different parts of yourself and how they have formed, when they have formed, what they do to serve you. So when you do things that you either don't like or that, are just negative, you can think, okay, so where did that part come from? What is it trying to protect me from, or whatever? I really like the whole concept of that, and thinking through that is something that is really interesting to me, and I would love to pursue therapy in that using that model. This book, however, dove way too far into the woo-woo. He references different religions. It's not a religious book by any means in any way or the other, but it was a very woo-woo spiritual book. And so like I said, I'm really interested in the model and practicing it. But the book was not for me. So there's that. And then last is one you saw in my book I'll revisit, The Price to Pay by Linda Page. This one, okay, so I think a couple of you have tried to find this book. It's not got Goodreads, Amazon. It has no genres. I think it is on Amazon. I linked it in that video and I will link it down below. But I have literally no idea where I got this book. It's a UK publisher, and so I'm guessing I got it at a library book sale, and I don't know how. I wish, side note, because I am a used book buyer only. Aside from book of the month, I think I really only buy used books unless it's something super, super special. And I wish people wrote the story inside the book of how they got it. I want to know where all this book has been, because it was published in 2011. And so it's probably been some places. Obviously my book I'll revisit, I got it 2 years ago, but where has it been since then? I wish there was some sort of log of these used books. And that's why I love when I find bookmarks or notes or whatever, because it gives me a little like glimpse into the people who have read this before. And so yeah, I would love to know, because I don't know where I got this, but it was a book about a woman who she had, her and her husband have fertility issues, and then they adopt a child, and then the child and husband go missing. Sorry, I had to stop for a little screaming, honestly, a little child screaming. But anyway, if you can hear, my baby is playing with Halloween candy, because that's still a thing that is everywhere right now. But anyway, so this book, her husband and son go missing. She's trying to find them. She has to take over the family business, all that kind of stuff. And this is part thriller, part women's fiction. Great found family in this. Part Christian fiction, part historical. I don't know what this is. It's an amalgamation of a lot of things, and I enjoyed it. So now let's talk about the books that I'm currently reading. So I did my nonfiction November TBR, Pile of Possibilities, and almost like so many people talked about 3 Weeks with My Brother by Nicholas and Micah Sparks. And so I am reading this book, and I am halfway through, and I'm really enjoying it. So at first I was thinking, gosh, I don't think Nicholas Sparks, maybe he does. I'm going to say this, and I actually have no idea, but I don't think he has Instagram. Maybe he does, but I've wanted to know more about his life, because his books and his writing style is so unique. To admit, like, that's a weird, I don't know. Anyway, I'm having a very hard time, like, being communicative in a helpful way today. But I think the first half part of this book, I was like, gosh, he is so good at, like, romanticizing life. And so the premise of this is he and his brother take a 3-week vacation around the world. Like, they are stopping at all these major stops in 3 weeks, literally traveling the globe. And this was sponsored by Notre Dame, which is where he went. And but we're getting more of, so the first like 10% or so was all just backstory about his family, like his growing up family structure, where he is now. And as we're going to the different places, he's talking some about their experience present day in the places, some about the places, but he's also taking a lot of trips down memory lane about he and his brother, and mostly he and his brother, but also him and his family. And so at first I was like, gosh, if he had an Instagram, he would be all over it. Like, romanticizing life is a definite strength of Nicholas Sparks. And he's not shying away from like negative things that have happened. But anyway, I have a unique perspective in reading this book, because now I'm halfway through, and I have a husband who has a brother who is also very close in age to him. And so I spend a lot of time listening to stories about things that boys got up to as teenagers and kids and all that kind of stuff. And there's like this male testosterone need to like talk about the stupid stuff they've done with their brother. I don't know. And so I'm kind of feeling like halfway through, like, this is just like having a conversation with my husband, because we're talking about stupid stuff he's done with his brother. And in ways that, like, there are times where I'm like, gosh, he acknowledges the things they were doing were stupid, but also is like, I think we would do it again. And some of the things were like mean, like awful. But anyway, I also thought, gosh, because this was written in 2004, and so 20 years ago, and they both had, Micah and Nicholas Sparks both had young children at the time. So I'm thinking, gosh, their wives like are saints, you know. And just to, especially Nicholas Sparks, he's talking about how often he travels for like work, and then also doing this trip. And the way they talk about their wives is not always the best, you know. It's almost like the obligatory, like, gosh, she manages everything so well, but then they're like, oh my gosh, dude, like, she does, and they're like, you know, I don't know, they're talking to each other about their wives and their lives, and it's fine. But I'm feeling like a little touchy about this because it feels so familiar. So and I also Googled it, and Nicholas Sparks and his wife got divorced 10 years after this in 2015. So that's weird. But anyway, so I'm reading this and I'm enjoying it. It's feeling a little like I've heard these stories. And then we're reading School Days According to Humphrey. And this is on audio, so we're not reading it as often as I would like to. And we're also reading, guys, if you can hear, all of my kids are right here. My husband's in the other room, and yet they're all right here. But we're reading Turkey Trouble on the National Mall. I'll put a picture up here, but it's about two kids she is the stepdaughter to the president. And so she says, well, in addition to this turkey that you're pardoning, how about we get everybody from Senate, the House, all that kind of stuff to pardon a turkey? And so they have all these turkeys that are on the National Mall, but then an organization comes and they're like, no, we think turkeys are food, not pets. And so there's like a little battle there. Not battle, but like that's the conflict in the story. And it's really cute. Like I said, we are deep in the Thanksgiving reads and I'm not mad about it. So that's everything that I read last week. Everything I'm planning to read this upcoming, well, what I'm currently reading, not what I'm planning to read this upcoming week. I'm having a hard time reading, guys. We are just busy and we haven't been doing quiet time at all this week because of the beautiful weather. And so normally my reading times are quiet time and bedtime. And quiet time hasn't been happening. And then bedtime, I am behind in my Bible study. So I've been reading that. And then I go to sleep. So it's been really hard for me to like finish things. That's why some of the things we talked about were middle grade, because that's just easier for my brain. So anyway, that is everything. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.